Hello. It's Green Fire. Welcome to the Kit Report podcast. And the match day 1 of the Premier League is over. And I'm going to tell you guys my thoughts on the game week, teams, all that. Yeah, let's get into it. First of all, can we just say how shit Tottenham are? Really, it's great. It's actually great. I love it, The only thing that's worse than them is Aston Villa this week. But we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it because, you know what? We love it here. We love this show. We love it. It's just great. All right, let's get into it. Hi again. Welcome. Let's get into it. All right, match day 1 review, and we are going to start with the Premier League champions, the greatest team in England, on the Friday night under the lights, 3 p.m. EST time. It's Arsenal versus Coventry City, and you know what? This was a good game. It was a good game for multiple reasons, and the reason why I'm saying that is it was a good game. It was a good game. It was entertaining, but can I just say, for a neutral fan, it was an interesting game. It was an interesting game. What was more interesting is seeing Arsenal not playing get ball full instead of going forward, passing it back, which I loved. I love how we didn't have to worry about that. I loved it. My thoughts on the game when we played Manchester City when we won 3-0 was, if we can keep playing attack like this, it's great. Think about it this way. Arsenal, who had the most set-piece goals on corners, a lot of people are saying that's how we won the Premier League last year. And you know what? They're probably right, because we were so good at corners. We really were. But in 2 competitive games against Manchester City and Coventry, we have scored 6 goals, haven't conceded a goal, and all 6 goals are scored by open play. That's amazing. You don't get to say that often. Scoring like that by open play. So, it's amazing to me. It is. It's amazing. And for any Arsenal fan, that's amazing. By the way, in this video, I am wearing the away World Cup Netherlands shirt. I love this jersey. It is amazing. The white with the orange tone on it. I love it. I think it's better than the home kit. Anyway. After we're going to do a time on these videos, just talk about my jersey because that's what we do here. Love the badge in the middle. Love it. Anyway, it was a great game. Again, I watched it obviously as an Arsenal fan. I watched it, and as it stands, Arsenal are in second place for it. But let's go over the stats. Okay, so Arsenal at their game against Coventry, they had 19 shots. Coventry had 4. They had 6 shots on target. Coventry had 1 on possession. It was 65-35 in favor of Arsenal. Passes was 590 to Arsenal to 343 to Coventry. 10 fouls for Arsenal. I had less fouls when Coventry had 13. 1 yellow card apiece. No reds. 0 offsides for Coventry. Arsenal had 5, and Arsenal were awarded 8 corners when Coventry were only awarded 2. It was a simple game for David Raya. I mean, no question about it. It was. As it stands, Arsenal are in second place, and Coventry are in relegation right now in 18th. So yeah. Goals tonight, or goals on Friday night, were scored in the 15th minute by Kai Havertz. I thought, look, it was great. It really was. There's that debate of who should be the main striker, Havertz or Gyökeres. And I still think I still think it's Gyökeres. I still think Gyökeres, needs that time. I mean, he played in Portugal. He played on in the Portuguese league. Like you can't compare that to the Premier League. And he scored 14 goals or 13 or 14 goals last season for Arsenal. So I think and the fact that they're saying we got to sell him, a swap deal for Julian Alvarez. I don't think so. No, I think that's honestly the wrong. I don't want Julian Alvarez, one, because he wants Barcelona. He doesn't want Arsenal. If he joins Arsenal, it's going to be a spite like he did with Atletico Madrid. By the way, he got booed off the field in his opening game for Atletico. Now, it was told by his coaching staff that he needs to leave the pitch, but I don't care. I don't give a crap about that. Like, the way he's presenting himself, he should get booed. yeah, I mean, it's great. Bukayo Saka, great goal. You know, it's exactly what we want. Not the greatest goal. I mean, it was just a touch-in, but still great. And then from our captain, I think our captain is back. It's too early to tell. It's too early to tell, but I think he's back. Anyway, that closes out 3-0. But you know what? This is promising sides, I think, for Coventry City, because look, they are expected to go down. I think they'll finish bottom 5. Of course, if you guys didn't see my YouTube short on where I thought they would finish, I put them in relegation. I put them in 18th place. But I think they will. I think they could go down. I think they could finish to at least 16th is the highest I think they can finish. But this was not this. You know, it's good. I mean, it's good they got this game out of the way. I mean, they have to play Manchester City for match day number 2, but this is promising signs. I mean, they played Arsenal. They went to the Champions Stadium. They played at the Emirates, which is not easy to do. You know. I don't know what else you want them to say. I mean, it was the 3-0, but they made some mistakes, and I think that's something that they have to put down is they made some mistakes, like 100%. Yeah, but I think for Coventry, you know, it was not a bad game for them. Like, I mean, Arsenal owned them, but that was to be expected. I really don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else you want them to say. I mean, it was a good game. All right, now we have Hull and Manchester United, and that guy ain't cutting his hair. You know, that guy ain't cutting his hair. And you know, I don't think he want. Part of me thinks he didn't really want to because that's what's really made him famous and all. But that guy ain't cutting his hair. Like, he is not cutting his hair. That haircut is never going to be scheduled. Congrats, Hull. Hull. Congrats. 2. Hull City 2. Manchester United 0. Manchester United should have won that game. All I'm going to say is that I don't know what happened to Manchester United. I don't know what happened. But we'll see. Alright, one of the 10 o'clock a.m. games, of course, all the time I'm doing is Eastern time, was Ipswich Town taking on Sunderland. Ipswich, a recently promoted team. They also won. Ipswich 2. Sunderland 1. Now, this was a game that I watch all the highlights, obviously, for, and I watch most of the games, or when they score or whatever, so this one, that's why I'm not doing the most coverage on these games. My apologies, but yeah, I mean, I think that proves right there that Sunderland are going to struggle this year. I don't think last year was a fluke at all. You know, for Sunderland, you know, in their point of view, I don't think last year was a fluke. I don't think it was a lucky year for them. I don't think so at all. I actually think it was a really good year for Sunderland, and they deserve European football because they did play very well last year. But the depth is the question. If they have a lot of that, obviously, in like a month and a half, they'll be playing in Europe, and you know, that's going to be hard for them because if they're losing to teams like Ipswich and not doing well in Europe, look, are they going to be doing like Crystal Palace? You know, hoping to stay alive in the Premier League, but mainly focusing on Europe, like because that's the question right there. I find that is the question right there. Are Ipswich? Sorry, not Ipswich. Is Sunderland? And I guess you can say, you know, Crystal Palace too. Are they going to just be focusing on Europe and hoping for the best in the Premier League? I don't know. Anyway, great win for Ipswich Town. They win 2-1 at home. At the Hull Dickinson Stadium, it was not Ipswich. It was Everton taking on Crystal Palace. And you know what? This could be a big year for Everton. I think it is going to be a big year for Everton. Dewsbury Hall scoring in the 42nd minute. Their striker scoring in... Sorry, I can't say his name right now. Is scored in the 53rd minute. You know, 16 shots to 11. 5 shots on target for Everton. Possession was won, though, by by Crystal Palace. What I think, honestly, is that this could be a year where Everton can get Europe. Because, one, I think a lot of teams are going to struggle this year. I think this is one of the bigger years where there's going to be a lot of uncertainty in the Premier League. And why I'm saying that is I think we can all kind of agree that Ipswich will go down, Hull will go down. There is a sense of Coventry maybe not going down. But I definitely think Newcastle can get relegated. I think oh my gosh. I think Aston Villa can go down. Despite me putting them top 7 in my prediction, I think they can go down. I think Crystal Palace can go down. I think Sunderland can go down. It's that kind of thing where it's either going to be like we know fairly early on, or it's going to be last day of the season, which is what happened with Chelsea, with West Ham and Spurs. But I think with all the other teams in Europe, like Arsenal, Man United, City, Liverpool, potentially Brighton, Villa, sadly no Chelsea. It's that at Bournemouth. It's that thing where, there's also a lot of new managers. And I think, you know what, it's the new era of the Premier League. It is the new era of the Premier League. And I think I think Everton, who have, I would probably say, top 5 best manager in the Premier League. I mean, David Moyes is one of the best managers. I mean, what he did with West Ham. A shame. They're ashamed of letting him go. One of the worst decisions in West Ham's front office in history, letting him go. I think, you know what? Second year in that stadium, they have a good team. That their defense is actually really good. I think Armstrong and Dewsbury Hall are going to be one of the greatest players in the Premier League this year. And Jai, I think, needs to step it up a little bit. He definitely slowed down at the end of the year. Their attack is good. They score. Their defense is actually, for a middle team, is actually really damn good. I think Everton could be a problem this year. I don't think they'll be top 6 or whatever, but I think they can finish 7th or 8th. I do. I think they can have like a Nottingham Forest year where they're that close up and then they fall a little bit, but they get a good result. What I'm also very interested in is Nottingham Forest is them and Fulham are the only team that lost at home this week. Because Newcastle tied 2-2 to Liverpool. Nottingham Forest 0, Leeds 1. And I thought this was a very interesting one. This was an interesting game. I did watch this game. I thought it was pretty boring, but I watched it. It was a good game. I mean, I think I'm very interested. I'm very interested on seeing how Leeds are going to play this year. Because I thought they had a very good year last year. Now, the question is it just going to be Calvert-Lewin that's going to carry them? Because, frankly, I think he's really the reason why they stayed up. But I'm very interested in seeing how that they are going to play. Because they did sign... They had a pretty decent transfer window. They got Trafford, which I think is a good signing. Harry Wilson is a good player, too. I'm very interested in seeing how, they got loan staff from They have loan staff from last year, which I find is also a very interesting signing. I'm very interested in seeing how this team plays. I think Leeds is going to be either, but they're probably bottom, but, I'm very excited seeing how Leeds play. Leeds did win, though, like I mentioned. 1-0 in the 88th minute. Midfield contribution. It was an okay game. All right, Spurs fans, you can start flipping off the camera because it's Spurs 0, Brentford 3. What Brentford did was unbelievable. Spurs spend all of his money, which honestly I think Tonali was a fantastic signing. The Fernandes signing is a joke. They just signed Omar Mamouche. What's happening to this team? Now, I said this last year. The reason why Spurs were so bad last year is two reasons. One, they didn't have much depth. And two, but the most important reason, is they had injuries. Like, their whole team was hurt. Their whole team was hurt last year. That's why they were so bad. Their whole team was hurt. And I'm not complaining. I love it when Spurs go down. I think everyone can agree. Everyone loves when Spurs are this shit. But this was bad. They keep signing, and I wrote a comment on a video actually once in the summer, and it was Spurs signed. I forget who it was. I think it was Tonali or whatever. It was like fairly recently, like maybe a month and a half ago. And I wrote and I said, well, Spurs are really afraid to go down because they've signed so many players. And this is the exact same reason why I think they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle worse this year. I think they could finish 17th again. I don't think they will. I think they'll finish top half. But I will not surprise me if they finish bottom half this year because they have a lot of new players. And they have a lot of pressure, too. Like, they have a lot of pressure. And we saw that with Liverpool. Liverpool made too many signings last year, and they didn't know how to play with each other, and that hurt them. Anyway, it was a demolishing game. It should have been, thank goodness, he missed the pen. Because a 4-0 loss would have been horrendous. I think, City are going to be an interesting team. They did City 2, Bournemouth 1 on the weekend. Comeback win. City, yeah, they definitely should have won that game. And, they deserved the win. But it's like Everton all over again. It's like Bournemouth all over again. Thank goodness Bournemouth were the one at 2 goals. Or 1 goal, sorry. They tied it last year. Because you're just seeing how much depth this team has. And how they don't give up. First of all, lovely hair, Holland. I love it. Love the haircut. Must be nice when you can get a haircut when you want to. But there was these questions where will City perform as well as they have been the last previous, or are they going to struggle? And I think the answer is they're still going to, something's going to miss without John Stones, without Kevin De Bruyne, without, Rodri, without all those key pieces. And I still think something's going to be there. But they just look, Omar Mamouche, and Savinha, they're not good players. They're good, but they're not, letting them go is not, is fine. Like, that doesn't do anything to the club. But they have so much money that they just signed the guy from Brazil, and I think they are going to sign Enzo Fernandez. I think especially if I'm getting booed on his opening game against Fulham, and he's going to make him want to leave. Xabi Alonso has to do everything in his power to make sure he doesn't leave, and that's probably Chelsea's most important thing right now is making sure that he doesn't leave, because he is a world-class player, Enzo Fernandez. He is a world-class player. However, City, I think, are going to be a problem again. But we have to see. It's one game, but you know what? You can tell a lot by one game on a team. The big one I'm talking about right now. Brighton took on Aston Villa. Brighton 4, Villa 0, and they were down to 10 men. Villa, I think, are going to be a big collapse, and I put them top 7, but I really, really wish I didn't. Yeah, I think, first of all, I wish Brighton didn't sell to Man United. I think that was a interesting move, but I'm really hoping they use Promise David as a Canadian. This is great for Canadians football. Seeing another guy play in the Premier League, I really respect that. But yeah, Villa. That was horrendous. I did watch that game, and that was horrendous. 4-0. They're not going to have Ollie Watkins. He's going to go to Al Hilal. Kwanzaa has signed for Arsenal. Eddie Martinez is probably going to leave the Premier League, probably to Juventus, but we don't know yet. They got Suzuki. He's a good. I think he's a middle class goalkeeper for a middle class team. But this team is going to struggle, like they are. They are going to be a struggling team. They're going to struggle. Let's just look at the stats here. That's two first week games that Aston Villa have got sent off this year. 17 shots to 6. 6 shots on target for Brighton, 0 for Aston Villa. 72 possession to 28 possession. Brighton win that one. 3 yellow cards, 1 red card, 2 offside for Villa. They got 2 corners, and they set 20th place. It's going to be a mess. I think the only thing that could possibly keep them up is their manager. But besides that, look, we still have a week and a half left to go in the transfer show. So we'll see what happens in the transfers. But yeah, I don't know. Newcastle took on Liverpool. It was Newcastle 2, Liverpool 2. And this was one of the games I think everyone needed to watch. It was going to be a big one because Isak is returning to St. James's Park for the first time. But the reason why I'm saying that this was a big game is we needed to know how Liverpool were going to play and how Newcastle were going to play, because these two teams could be on completely the opposite side of each other on the table. Liverpool competing to win the Premier League. They are a competitor to win the Premier League. And Newcastle probably trying to stay out of relegation because they've let go of so many players. And you know what? Newcastle, they played fantastic. I don't care what anyone says. They played really damn well. It sucks that they gave up a penalty at the end of it to tie it to 2-2. But they played really well. They played really damn well. I love it. I thought they played really well. Liverpool, there were some concerning signs for me, to be honest. I can't lie. I think their defense was opened up a lot. I think their attacking looks very good. Isak didn't really have many chances, but I think their attack is good, Liverpool, but I don't know, something about their defensive line. I don't know. I think that could be really where they fall this year, Liverpool. And same with Manchester City. But at the end of the day, I think Liverpool deserved the point. I think in the second half especially, but yeah, 2-2 all. It was a game. And then we got Monday night footy, and it was a derby. It was Fulham taking on Chelsea. Chelsea 3, Fulham 2 at the Cottage. This was I think that this was the game of the week. This was the game of the week. And I'm sorry, I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but I think Chelsea are going to be a problem this year, especially in December. Reason why I say that is because teams are going to start getting a groove. The teams that are playing in Europe, they're going to start having a groove on, balancing. That can open up Chelsea. Chelsea do not have European football this year. They only have to focus 1 game a week, which is great for them. They have a fantastic manager, but I think they are only going to do well if they keep Xabi Alonso. They're not going to, if they sack him, they're fucked. They're not going to do well. That's number 1. Number 2, that front line for Chelsea actually looks scary. I love how Cole Palmer and Phil Foden didn't make it to the World Cup. I think Thomas Tuchel did a great job with his selection. I wish maybe Hall or Gibbs-White got in the England lineup. But besides that, I think he made the right calls. Palmer needed a break. We could tell that something was not right with Palmer. I think Palmer's back. I think he's well rested. He's more confident. He's not beating himself up anymore. He's had the time to relax, figure out what he needs to fix. And you know what? He's exploding. He's going through guys. He's going left, right, megging, tricking them, off, putting the ball on the edge of his foot properly again. Getting that right spin off it. It's fantastic. He's a scary player. João Pedro, I think he's going to be the one competing for the Golden Boot this year with Erling Haaland or Isak. It's going to be one of those 3. But I think João Pedro is going to have a fantastic year. He's also had rest. He didn't make it to the Brazil lineup for the World Cup, which is probably a mistake. But whatever. And Morgan Rogers, for being the most expensive guy in the Premier League, you expect the guy, to do well. He did fantastic. I think the only thing that screws up Chelsea is that defense line. I mean, that defense is terrible, and that's why I think if they kept Cucurella, then I think that this team could honestly win the Premier League, or maybe not win it, but compete top three. Top three. I think Chelsea could finish top three, but they don't have a good defense. Their goalkeeper is horrendous. He's not a Premier League goalie, or maybe he's a Lincoln City goalie. He's terrible. I mean, he's bad. I really thought they would get the guy, from AC Milan, the French goalie, Mike, but they didn't. But he's terrible. I think what's going to help them, though, is they have... And here's the thing. They did not start Enzo Fernandez, and they don't have Caicedo. And Caicedo is probably one of the best midfielders in the world, and he's also world-class. I mean, if you put in... And if you look at the starting lineup they had, right? Morgan Rogers, João Pedro, Cole Palmer. That is a fantastic front three. They put Reece James in the midfield, which is fine. But if you put Reece James in the midfield with Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo, that is a dangerous midfield. Like, that can do problems. What hurts me, well, not really hurts me, I'm not a Chelsea fan, but I think what hurts Chelsea fans and Chelsea in particular is that defense. I mean, that defense is terrible. It is. It's pretty bad. Now, Lacroix joining is good. They have Colwell, which is good too. It's not bad, but I think what hurts them is they don't have a good bench. They don't really have the greatest bench, which hurts them. Now, on the other side, a lot of people are saying Fulham are going to get relegated. They could. I mean, yeah. They have a new manager. But it was a good game for Fulham. I think Fulham fans, I listen to TalkSport, and I gotta say, I think Fulham fans last night, you guys are a little bit hard on yourself. You guys were definitely hard on yourself. I think you guys have a good team. I think I said this before 2 years ago when we didn't even know who really Josh King was. I said Josh King could be a future player for England. I think Josh King is going to have a breakout year. I hope he does, because I followed him. I love Josh King. I really hope he has a good year. I think you have Oscar Bob. I think he's really good. I think you don't have to. I don't get why they're not, but I think you got to put in Smith Rowe more. And as a Canadian, I would like to see how Luke Defougeroy plays. But Fulham played pretty good. I mean, they were explosive. But I think Chelsea's front three, if you can keep Cole Palmer healthy and him playing like that, then Chelsea are going to be a big problem this year. Like they are. And they can punish Man United. They're going to punish City. They're going to punish Arsenal. They're going to punish a lot of people. A lot of clubs. And you know what? I think for a Chelsea fan, you know what? You watched that game yesterday, and I would be honestly, I was saying we could potentially. I don't think you guys are going to win the Premier League because you guys don't have good. You don't really have. You have a big squad. You do have a big squad. What hurts you though is you don't really have a good bench. I think if you let go of Enzo Fernandez, that's going to be a massive problem. But I think if you are a Chelsea fan or just a neutral fan at all, and you watched Chelsea yesterday, you'll be thinking right now, this team can finish top four. This team could compete for the Premier League. I mean, they always do. Every year they compete for the Premier League. They always fall. But you can say to yourself, this could be a year where we go farther. But I'm thinking right now, and I'm being honest, I think that they should be happy that they are not playing Champions League or any form of Europe. Because it's sometimes good for a club to not worry about Europe, especially Chelsea right now. Like, you're thinking about Chelsea, especially Tottenham too. You're thinking about that, and you're thinking, focus on the Premier League. And they did that yesterday, and they did really well. There are still some concerning signs for them, but yeah. All right, let's go in and let's review Match Day 2. All right, Match Day 2 is Crystal Palace taking on Manchester City. Liverpool will be taking on Nottingham Forest. Coventry are hosting Hull. Bournemouth are going to be hosting Everton. Spurs are going to be hosting Newcastle. Chelsea are going to be playing Brighton and Hove Albion. Leeds are going to be playing Brentford. Sunderland are going to be playing Fulham. Manchester United are going to be playing Ipswich Town. And on the Monday game, it's going to be Aston Villa v Arsenal. And right now, the end of match day number 1. Let's take a look at the Premier League table in a second, because it's not bad right now. At the end of match day 1, congratulations to Brighton. They win the match day 1 in first place. Brentford and Arsenal are tied for second. Hull, Everton, Chelsea, Ipswich City, Leeds, Liverpool, Newcastle, Fulham, Bournemouth, Sunderland, Forest, Palace, United, Spurs, Coventry, and Aston Villa. That is how match day 1 ends. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am going to do my predictions for match day 2 on Thursday or Friday, before the Friday night football game. I'm also going to be talking about my predictions, and I'm also going to get more into the stadiums and the kits coming in. But I like how the style is. If there is anything you want me to do for these videos or any ideas, please let me know. Write a comment. I'm always happy when there's someone commenting on a video. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys later. Have a good day or night.